Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. Today, my group of Group 19 consisting of 5 students would like to present one of the titles from the subject of SOLAS, namely Safety Measure for High-Speed Craft. For Regulation 1, High-Speed Craft Code means the International Code of Safety for High-Speed Craft adopted by the Maritime Safety Committee of the organization by Resolution MSC.36633. As may be amended by the organization, provided that such amendments are adopted, brought into force, and take effect in accordance with provision of Article 7 of the present Convention. High-speed craft is craft capable of maximum speed in meter per second equal to or exceeding 3.7 V0.1667, which V is displacement corresponding to the design waterline. Craft constructed is a craft the keel of which is laid or which is at a similar state of construction. There are two similar stages of construction. The first is construction identified with specific craft begin, and the second, assembly to the craft has commenced, comprising at least 50 tons of 1% of the estimate mass of all structural material, whichever is the less.
Type of high-speed craft. First, hovercraft. A high-speed craft designed in the form of a hovercraft was the earliest boat introduced. A hovercraft uses air pressure to propel itself in the water. It is reliable and is the most preferred means of transportation, used especially as a rescue vehicle in a case of natural calamities, especially in water. The craft was named such because the boat tends to hover above the surface, without actually touching it due to the air pressure release. Second is hydrofoil. The system of hydrofoil in a high-speed craft was simultaneously used along with the hovercraft system. The hydrofoil system incorporates the use of a wing or lift to raise the boat from the surface of the water and move forward. The wing of the hydrofoil attached makes sure that the speed of the boat is maintained. The system of hydrofoil is also used in an aircraft that land on water or use water surface for takeoff. Third is catamaran. A high-speed craft in the format of a catamaran came into existence from the 19th. The catamaran offered a high-speed craft not just speed but also stability, balance, and ability to withstand gales and strong winds. It has to be noted that the catamaran employed a dual hull that gave it the above-mentioned feature and thereby superiority over the previous two variations of the high-speed boats. The last is monohull. As the name suggests, this type of a high-speed craft has a single or a monohull rather than two in the catamaran type. Monohull became popular alongside the catamaran in the same time period, adding a lot of variety to the existing type of the high-speed craft. The most important reason why monohull were used was because of the feasibility aspect of the ballast weight added to support the boat from blockage coming from sideways. The better ability of a ballast ensured that the high-speed craft was provided an overall stability.
The high-speed craft includes air cushion vehicles such as hovercraft and hydrofoil boats. The system of designing and the safety aspect of the high-speed craft have to comply with the standards and regulations set by the International Maritime Organization along with the Maritime Safety Committee. The set of rules and regulations were decided upon in the year 1994 and then later remodified in the year 2000. These rules still provide the basis for each and every high-speed vessel that is operating now. It has to be noted that in a certain place such a high-speed vessel, in addition to being used as passenger and civilian boats are also used to haul cargo. IMO adopted the Solar Chapter 10 safety measure for high-speed craft, which made the HSC code mandatory for high-speed craft built on or after 1st January 1996. The code applies to high-speed craft engaged on international voyage, including passenger craft which do not proceed for more than 4 hours at operational speed from a place of refuge when fully landed, and cargo craft of 500 gross tonnage and above which do not go more than 8 hours from a port of refuge. The code requires all passengers are provided with a seat and that no enclosed sleeping berths are provided for passengers. The code is intended to be a complete set of comprehensive requirements for high-speed craft, including equipment and conditions for operation and maintenance. A basic aim is to provide levels of safety which are equivalent to those contained in SOLAS and the International Convention of Load Lines 1966. The HSC code includes very detailed requirements such that a high-speed craft deemed to be in compliance with the code is therefore deemed to be in compliance with SOLAS Chapter 124 and Regulation 5, Shipboard Navigational Equipment. Of course, HSC must comply with any other applicable requirement in SOLAS, such as the ISM code and other international conventions. Therefore, due to the rapid pace of development in the HSC sector, in December 2000, the Maritime Safety Committee adopted an amendment to SOLAS Chapter 10 to make mandatory for new ships the High-Speed Craft Code 2000. The 2000 HSC code updates the 1994 HSC codes and applies to all HSC built after the date of entry into the force 1st July 2002. The original code will continue to apply to high-speed craft built before that date. The changes incorporated in the 2000 code are intended to bring it into line with amendments to SOLAS and new recommendations that have been adopted in the past 4 years. For example, requirements covering public address systems and helicopter pickup areas. There is provision in the code that they shall be reviewed at intervals preferably not exceeding 4 years in order to consider a revision of the existing requirements to take account of new development in design and technology.
Regulation 3. Requirement for high-speed craft. Notwithstanding the provision of Chapter 1 to 4 and Regulation 18, 19, and 20. 1. A high-speed craft constructed on or after 1 January 1996 but before 1 July 2002, which complies with the requirement of the High-Speed Craft Code 1994 in the entirety and which has been surveyed and certified as provided in that code shall be deemed to have complied with the requirement of Chapter 1 to 4 and Regulation 18, 19, and 20. For the purpose of the regulation, the requirement of the code shall be treated as mandatory. 2. A high-speed craft constructed on or after 1 July 2002 which complies with the requirement of the High-Speed Craft Code 2000 in its entirety and which has been surveyed and certified as provided in that code shall be deemed to have complied the requirement of Chapter 1 to 4 and Regulation 18, 19, and 20.
Good day, my name is Yusri and I'm going to continue with High-Speed Craft Safety Certificate. Why is the High-Speed Craft Safety Certificate required? It is required by the International Code of Safety for High-Speed Craft 2000, the HSC code. What does it certify? The craft has been surveyed in accordance with the HSC code and in all respects the craft complies with the relevant provision of the code. Next, the life-saving appliances are provided for a stated number of persons. What surveys are required to maintain the certificate? The harmonized system of survey and certification does not apply. The surveys required by the certificate are an initial survey before the craft is put in service or before the certificate is issued for the first time. Next, a periodical survey, which includes an inspection of the ship's bottom annually within 3 months before or after the anniversary date of the certificate. Thirdly, a renewal survey, which includes an inspection of the ship's bottom at intervals specified by the flag state, but most not exceeding 5 years. Lastly, an additional survey as required. Now we are moving to permit to operate high-speed craft. Another document required to be held by high-speed craft is the permit to operate. The permit is more specific than the high-speed craft safety certificate, covering a specific craft trading on specific routes. When must a permit to operate high-speed craft be held? The permit must be held for shall not operate a commercial unit unless a permit to operate high-speed craft is issued and valid in addition to the high-speed craft safety certificate. Transit voyage without passengers or cargo may be undertaken without the permit to operate high-speed craft. When is a permit to operate high-speed craft required? The permit is required by high-speed craft operating on a commercially with passengers or cargo on board. The permit to operate high-speed craft shall be issued by the flag state to certify compliance with the code and state the condition of the operating of the craft. When may a voyage be conducted without a permit to operate? On transit voyages, provided the craft is not operating commercially with a passenger or cargo on board. These voyages may be undertaken provided that the craft has a valid high-speed craft safety certificate or similar before the start of such a voyage. Secondly, the operator has developed a safety plan for the voyage, including any temporary accommodation to ensure that the craft is capable of safely completing the transit voyage. Thirdly, the master of the craft is provided with the materials and information necessary to operate the craft safely during the transit voyage. Lastly, the administration is satisfied that arrangements have been made for the safe conduct of the voyage.